Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Kola and Tinu.
Hello.
Hello.
Nice
Hi.
meeting
Nice to
you.
meet you, Paul.
Nice meeting you guys.
Right. So we're live. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's podcast. Today we have a very special guest with us. His name is Mr. Paul Adeyeye. He is a financial um, advisor. He's a financial educator. Yes, that's the right word I'm looking for. So he is going to be introducing himself. He's here today in helping us um, advise you guys accordingly in terms of people that are just coming into the real estate space and with the different uh, avenues for you to be able to save up towards your down payments and achieving a real estate goal for either coming in as a first time buyer or for investment purposes or however the avenue is to get into the real estate space. So Mr. Paul is going to be giving us hints on other financial advices as well in terms of future plans, putting yourself together, making yourself ready for retirement and things like that. So he is a financial educationist and he will let him in a minute we're going to be introducing him. We're going to let him speak for himself. Thank you very much and welcome to today's podcast.
Welcome. Welcome.
Also,
Thank
we
you.
have here, sorry, Mr. Paul, my partners, our team. I have my wife sitting beside me, Tinuke. She's also a realtor. I'm a mortgage agent. And Kayode Adekoya, who is also a realtor. So we'll have Tinuke take the floor now. Thank
Hi.
you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Paul, for being here. We are excited to have you on the show today. We look forward to getting a lot of insight and knowledge with regards to finances and how to manage our finances in preparing for our long-term goals. So, with that being said, we would like to invite you to talk to us about yourself, introduce yourself, let us know what you do, and we can take the conversation on from there.
All right. Thank you. And hi, everyone.
Hello.
Happy Saturday. Happy good afternoon from here from Ontario. I'm connecting from Ontario, Canada. So my name is Paul, and about myself, I moved to Canada in 2019. When I came to Canada, it was like, of course, as a new immigrant, everything was new to me, and I needed to understand how things were working. So I got interested in money and in finance when I got my first job, and I saw how much was going into. I didn't even know it was taxes, but how much was being deducted from my pay. And that was the moment I felt like, what's going on here? I think I needed to understand how money works. So that was what triggered my interest, and I started checking and reading books. Then I realized there was a lot, like, let me say, there were a huge gap in our community when it comes to finances in Canada. So I do a lot of things. I still have a full time job and I educate my community on the side. And over the years, I got my license. So I'm a licensed Canadian financial educator. So I just don't come online to speak about finances. So I'm licensed and I do this to educate my community and to also have a business on the side because I've seen that being a business owner gives a lot of edge or advantages in this part of the world. So thank you guys for having me and I'm excited.
Yeah, it's a pleasure indeed to to have you join us, and I'm sure that a lot of our audience are really excited as well. They're keen to learn from from this conversation some of the options or strategies that is available to them to help them manage their finances in a very efficient way and to try to for those who intend to at some point become homeowners, save towards a down payment, especially considering how inflation has kind of beaten into a lot of
people's income, and people will be trying to figure out, what's the best way, what are the things that I can do. So, I mean, thank you for the introduction. I think I'd like to sort of like throw the first question at you. So in terms of like the different investment options that are out there for people, which ones would you say are sort of like the best investment options, and what are their pros and cons? Of the different investment options out there, for people to take advantage of that can help them towards saving for their down payment.
Okay, so thank you for that first question. Like I mentioned, in Canada, it's important to understand how money works and the
Right.
impact of taxes on your investment. So there's some that we have like two types or two categories of investment in Canada. We have registered and non-registered. So,
Right.
but for the audience to understand difference between registered and non-registered, when you invest in Canada and you make profits, your profits can be seen as capital gains, and
Okay.
that capital gains can attract taxes or will attract taxes. So, and capital gains, you would likely pay 50% of your profits will be taxed according to your marginal tax bracket.
Okay.
So what I mean is, let's say you invest $1,000 randomly into the stock market. You buy shares of $1,000, and at some point it grows, it becomes $2,000. That means you've
Right.
made $1,000 profit. So that $1,000 profit, you need to pay taxes on $500.
Okay.
So the $500 will be taxed according to your marginal tax bracket. And you know that in Canada, tax bracket varies by people, by individual. So it varies on different conditions. It could be where you reside or the amount of money you make per year. So someone or maybe 36% marginal tax bracket, we pay, they will tax him on that, on using that percentage on the profit. So if you are when I'm looking for investment, I look for I use registered vehicles such as TFSA, maybe RRSP or FHSA, the new
Okay.
one. Because what that means is my profits will not be taxed like it should be taxed. An example is TFSA. So let me talk about TFSA. TFSA is known as tax free savings account.
Okay.
The government acknowledges that people pay a lot of taxes in Canada, and they
Okay.
decided to give us an opportunity where we can save money, technically invest money,
Right.
and make profit and not pay taxes.
Okay.
So this first scenario that I painted, if that guy had purchased the same shares using TFSA vehicle, he's not going to pay taxes on the $1,000 profit.
Okay.
So when you are trying to invest your money, it's important to look out for tax implication on your investment. So you won't just be investing money at the point you think you have money, half of it is going back to the government. Then you may also need to check for safety, like how safe is your investment vehicle. Then
Right.
the third thing I also watch out for is inflation sometimes, and inflation, you really don't have control over inflation. And one of the ways to beat inflation is to probably look for aggressive funds that will grow well. And growing well for funds may also mean that you have to give it a long time. So in this case, in this scenario that we are looking for how to save money towards down payment, I don't think the option of aggressive fund will work, because when somebody start thinking of buying a home, it's probably ready in the next 6 months or 1 year. So to summarize what I just talked about, we have TFSA that you can use that will help you in reducing or even minimizing the tax implication on your investment, on your returns on your investment. Then we also have RRSP, that's Registered Retirement Savings Plan. and we also have the FHSA. So I'm going to talk about that shortly. Let me quickly take care of this boy.
Absolutely.
Don't worry, it's totally understandable. That's the interesting part of being in this part of the world,
Not just this part of the world. That's the interesting part of having kids.
of
Like,
being a parent.
if he or she needs daddy's attention right now, then daddy's attention must be prioritized, must be given. So yeah,
Absolutely.
while we're waiting to have Mr. Paul back, this is our making the right move. This is the fourth episode of making the right moves. Our podcast that we have Mr. Paul back, so we'll let him take the floor again.
Okay, thank you guys. Thank you for indulging me. So I was talking about TFSA, and I've not really. I would like to. Can I share more details about TFSA?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so for TFSA, every Canadian adult, like 18 and above,
Okay.
we enjoy about $6,500 contribution room every year
Okay.
from 2023. So before now, it used to be $6,000. So what that means, and the beauty of TFSA is you can roll it over. So let's say somebody has been in Canada for maybe like 5 years and came as a permanent resident, has a valid SIN, obviously, probably would be sitting on close to $30,000 contribution
Oh, accumulated. Okay.
accumulated.
Okay.
Okay.
So what that means is you can put in 30K and use it like an investment. When you make maybe 5K or 6K, everything belongs to you.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. So basically, if for example from year 1, 2, 3, 4, you didn't put any money in that TFSA account, then in year 5, you decided that, you know what, I come into some money somehow, somewhere, and you decided to put that money in an investment via the TFSA vehicle, you will be exempt from taxes up until a value of 30K, right? As an amount of investment. I don't know if
Yes. So to be clear, first of all, everybody has access to his contribution room when you file your taxes on
okay.
your notice of assessment. So just trying to use that scenario that you mentioned, because people can mix it up. Some people think I've spoken to clients that we say, when will government give me this $30,000? Some people think when they see it on that document, they feel like it's the money the government is owing them.
Oh, I
No,
see.
it's a contribution room. So what the government is saying is, over the years, you've accumulated $30,000 that you can use to invest and do not pay taxes on your profits.
Right.
So back to your question that the 30K, is that what's not going to pay taxes on? No, it is. Even if it becomes 100K, both the capital and the profit
Profit.
is tax sheltered.
Cool.
So,
But
question. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
sorry, where I wanted to come in or ask my question is, when you do that and you save in your TFSA, for example, if you wanted to withdraw for a big purchase relating to real estate, say you wanted to, you've accumulated so much, you've saved in your TFSA account, and you have enough for a substantial down payment to purchase a property, how does that work at that point? Would you get taxed on what you're withdrawing from that account, or is it still just money that's available to you?
Okay, good question. It's money that's available to you. You are not going to be taxed on it anytime at all. And to even answer your question further, the beauty of TFSA is, so let's go back to that scenario. This particular guy, he has invested 30K in his contribution room. Then he took everything out. The following year, he will still have that room restored.
Ah,
Okay.
okay.
So let's say he had 30K in his account, he withdraws 30K, and the following year he has 6,500 contribution room for that year. But because he had withdrawn part of the money, he will restore that same contribution room.
He has allowance to do so to
He
restore
has
the
allowance to restore it.
I
Yeah,
see. So it's revolving. Let's put it. Is
that's
this
the right word. Thank
that
you.
it's revolving? The other thing I wanted to clarify here is in terms of having that TFSA contribution. Let's say someone has been in the country. We gave a scenario of 5 years now. Someone that has been in the country has had a social insurance number in Canada for 10 or 20 years and has never used the TFSA vehicle, has never put money into TFSA. Does that mean he would have that um, retrospectively, right? He may have accumulated, say, okay, let's say somebody for 10 years now, just say it was a 5K cap, would have room for $50,000 or more, possibly, depending on what has been accumulated over time. Is that just to clarify?
Yeah, so to clarify, TFSA was introduced, I think, in 2008 or 2009.
Okay.
So anyone that landed before that time, in fact, no Canadian had any contribution room before that time.
Okay.
But so let's assume, I think as at now, the highest contribution room anyone can have is about 88,900. I'm not sure. Don't
Okay.
quote me.
Okay.
Because
That
if you calculate when they introduced TFSA since maybe 2008 or 2009 to this time, someone that was 18 at that point, never used it, would have probably accumulated close to $90,000.
I see. Okay.
Okay. So basically, that person can invest up to $90,000, and the income on that investment will not be taxed.
Yes. However, recently they realized that people do what they call day trading using TFSA.
Okay.
And what that means is the government feels like TFSA should be for should be like a long-term investment. So they don't expect you to be monitoring the market, putting $2 today, take it out tomorrow, then come back again and take it out and do not pay taxes. If you practice that for a long time, you can be called and they can audit you. It's not really clear, but what they're just saying is don't don't feel like you've seen a vehicle that is tax sheltered and you now abuse it.
Abusing, yeah.
Yes.
I saw that in the news actually recently. I saw there was a scenario of a gentleman. I caught that in the news recently. Yeah.
Right. There was a guy and the thing is, the guy is so knowledgeable. So is the type that he understands how the investment market works. So he was able to use his knowledge. And he had a very good argument. It's an interesting case. And he's still, the guy is still on the case. I think he wants to keep, like, it's not like he's suing them, but he's not, he doesn't want to just give in and agree with the verdict that the court is giving.
Yeah. I saw that in the news. Thank you very much. Now, realistically, in terms of saving money, having a goal in front of you, for instance, like we're focusing on today is being able to save up for down payment. Now, averagely in Ontario today, we can say people's individual average income is sitting around 66,000. I stand to be corrected on that, but $66,000 per annum. Entry level 40, 45, but on average, we're around $66,000 per annum today. Now, someone that has a goal to purchase a property in say 6 months, 1 year, depending on how fast and how well they can save up a down payment, what strategies would you say or would you advise for people to have in place based on considering their daily lives? You have to pay insurance, you have to pay rent at the time. Obviously, maybe the person is not a homeowner yet. He has to pay rent, he has to eat, he has to pay bills, cell phone, car insurance, regular things in life. How would you best advise that person to be able to achieve a structured savings plan towards that goal of a down payment? What are the pros and cons of the different opportunities that are there as well in terms of being able to save?
Yeah, so this is a very serious question. And the reason why I say it's serious is because as someone that I live in Ontario, and sometimes you just imagine how people are coping. Like you feel like, how are people coping, especially people, maybe people on maternity leave that are on EI, or the retirees, because as of today now, the highest you can earn in CPP is $1,320 per month. And for you to qualify for that, you must have worked for 39 years on Canadian soil. So after all your 40 years, the government is giving you $1,320. How does that even take care of you? Then imagine someone who puts to bed, who is on EI. The maximum EI is about $2,100 or how much. So to talking about how to save towards down payments, I tell my clients and my friends that there are only two ways to make more money. You either reduce your expense or you look for extra income.
Mm.
The challenge with expense reduction is there's a limit to it. Most people now, when you ask them how much do you spend, when you have like an analysis of how much comes in, how much goes out, you realize that some of them cannot even cut any expense anymore. So if somebody wants to buy a home, I think it's good to have a honest discussion with oneself. Like find out, where is my money going to? How much am I spending on the following expenses? How much am I making? And the good thing about that exercise is when you do that, I have a spreadsheet that I share with my clients. When you do that, chances are you'll be able to identify some expenses that you can maybe reduce or you can manage so that you can have more money to put into savings. There's a strategy that I usually recommend for budgeting. It's called the 50-30-20 rule. So
Okay.
what that means is 50% of your income should be able to take care of your essential needs, like your rent, your car payments, your insurance, and all that. So somebody earning $2,000, all your essential needs should not be more than $1,000 per month.
Mm.
So 30% should be for wants. Wants like I want to go for I want to go to see a movie, I want to eat out, I want to go for massage. 30% can go towards that. And 20% should go towards savings and investments.
Mm.
Now, that's recommended rule. But to be fair, some people are spending 80% on their needs, 90%, in fact, more than 100% on their needs. And when you will understand that, thank God, Collar is a mortgage agent. When they submit their statement to you, you see people living paycheck, not even paycheck to paycheck, living
Ahead,
Yeah.
yes,
ahead
absolutely.
of the paycheck, which is scary and is disturbing. So in this case, I would first of all recommend that let's work on your wants. The 30%, what amount of your money is going towards your wants?
Mm.
Interestingly, the people in our community, we don't spend so much on eat out because some of us can cook. The average Canadian, they don't cook because they can't even feed themselves, so they have to buy all those things. And if you sit down and analyze how much you spend on Tim Hortons and McDonald's, you will be shocked.
Mm.
You will be shocked because me, I love Starbucks, and Starbucks
That's even more expensive
Starbucks is like
than
between
the average.
six to $8 if you want to
Yeah.
give yourself an average treat. And thank God I work remotely. If I was working, maybe if I was going to the sites every day, it would be like a culture. A lot of people, that's the culture. Before they get,
Yes, yes.
Absolutely.
have to
On
grab
the
a
way to
cup.
work, on the way
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you do the math, like 6 times 20, average of 20 working days, that's $120 going into coffee. Coffee is not even seen as food. It's just to like is morning. And because we all swipe the credit card, we don't take that into consideration. $120 times 10, that's $1,200.
$100.
In a year, that's about 1,440 going to Starbucks. If we do it at Tim Hortons, maybe you save $3. If you go to McDonald's, you will spend $10. And your family size will also determine how much you spend on eat out and all those things. So we need to, first of all, sit down, check how much is going towards your wants, identify the wants that you can compromise. Because saving towards down payment will require lifestyle adjustments. It's not going to be permanent, just be like temporary. Because to be fair, if you are not careful in this Ontario, you will be saving for 30K down payment. By the time you meet it, the 30K is no longer enough. You need
That is
another
that.
5K. You have to keep shifting the goalposts. So if you really want to be serious, you may need to adjust your lifestyle temporarily, which is good. It might not even be temporarily, because one thing I've also noticed is people come up with stories like, I'm paying somebody's rent, I'm paying somebody's mortgage with $2,000. If I'm able to get my house now, the same $2,000 will pay my mortgage. They don't take into account other bills that comes with home ownership. So if you are moving, when I was living in my basement before I moved to my place, I was just thinking in my head that no problem, how much extra? By the time the reality came, I saw that there's a lot of, it's just, it's not the same as saying that I'm paying 1,500 for rent, I'm not paying 2,000 for mortgage. So it's important that people get to adjust their lifestyle or look for a way to make more money. If you're in Ontario, there are a lot of ways to make money. You can do deliveries, you can do Uber if you have a car, you can do some side also. And this is a good country. Nobody cares what to do. Make good
Absolutely.
income, make good legal income, and meet your goals, or look for better skills. But talking about making saving towards down payment in immediate time, you probably need to make more money or reduce your expense.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. That is very,
Yeah,
educated.
very insightful.
Yeah.
Which brings me to, and in fact, we do have a question here from, I guess this is a viewer
Yeah.
who has a similar question to what I was going to ask.
Bolo boy.
Ogbolo
Bolo good boy.
You're welcome. Thank you for your question.
Thank you for
Um,
joining us.
he
Thank you for joining us.
says,
Yeah.
don't they have programs that subsidize down payments for
First
first time?
time. First time.
So my question was going to relate to that in terms of, are there any government programs or incentives available to people who want to purchase first time that they can take advantage of? So that's a very fitting question.
Right. So there are programs. There is a program called, and thank you for that question, Ogbologbo boy. There's something called first time home savings plan. But left to me, I don't think that's a plan.
Oh, okay.
Because the government says for people living in Vancouver, Toronto, and I think Victoria, that if their income is below 150K, they will be able to buy, they will support them when they're buying a property of around 450K thereabouts.
Mm.
Now, the question is, in those cities, which property will you buy for 450K?
Exactly.
Mm.
So that's why I say I don't see it as a plan. It used to be 120K. Now, I think the way the program works, if you have 5%, if you can afford 5%, let's say you want to buy a property of 500K,
Yeah.
you have 25K, the government will help you with 25K, provided that you meet those conditions and you are buying that property within those cities. You guys are realtors, yeah, you guys know that there's no 500K, not even a condo in Toronto.
No, but no. I think I'll
And it has to be a family income
okay.
Okay,
But
combined that. Okay.
combined. There
combined.
are some condos now, and that's the good thing about the current market that we're in,
Okay.
right? Prices of homes have kind of adjusted somewhat, right, downwards, and now offer people a bit more opportunity to be able to access certain types of properties. So
Awesome.
currently, there's some pre-construction developments that fall within that category. You find a lot of them now, starting from as low as the 500s,
In
Right.
Toronto?
So yes, yes.
Yeah.
Albeit there in terms of square footage, a little bit smaller than what the average person may want to consider, but they exist, and it's just a testament to the fact that prices of homes have considerably
Falling.
reduced. Yeah,
Well, that's
this
good to
in
know.
recent times. Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to clarify, you said if the person has 5%, because when you're buying under 500K, right? The idea, well, this is from a mortgage perspective now, is you need a minimum of 5% down.
Right.
Now, when you get to, if you're saying that 5,000, if the person has $25,000, then the government would match that 25, making his down payment $50,000. Is that what you're saying? Just clarifying.
Yes, so not particularly. So what that means is the person the person is trying to reduce the mortgage he will get from the bank.
Yes.
So if the person doesn't even have the 5% at all, I think the government can even help with the 5% as long as
Okay.
they qualify for the mortgage.
Aha. Okay. Okay.
At the same time, if the person wants to reduce, because of course, if you are doing 5% and you're doing 10%, the loan you are getting from the bank will not be the same.
Correct.
So if the person chooses to kind of reduce just to make sure that what they'll be paying on monthly basis will be lower, yes, so they can do 5% and government can also support with 5%. However, whenever they sell, they will return 5% back to the government.
Interesting.
Yes. And it's not the same 5% they collected, it's the value. So if you purchase at 500K, it's now 1 million. You've invested with the government. Both of you are partners.
Aha.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. And I mean that's in a sense that's not a terrible thing.
Not
I
bad.
mean, yeah, it's not a bad thing because one thing it does for sure is it gets your foot in the game.
Correct.
You understand? It gets your foot in the game. And if you have to part with a certain portion of what you have benefited that you would not have benefited at all if you couldn't even get in, then I don't think it's such an unfair, you know, cost to to benefit that sort of thing. So I mean it's not the most ideal, but it's still a step forward in my own view anyway.
This is very interesting and informative, but unfortunately, it still boils down to that 500K mark. Because like Kaide said, there's properties out there, but on an
rough.
average, how many,
Yeah.
like compared to the market? Like if the government, I'm guessing that 500K mark must have been ongoing for a bit, maybe, I'm not sure.
Yep.
Because if they were to review it today, they would probably agree that they have to step up from that 500K, even if it's just 100,000 more to meet that criteria, cap it at maybe 600 or 700. Yeah, then they would have a lot more action on that type of program. I'm guessing a lot of people are not accessing those programs now because of availability of the housing criteria at that cap of 500,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would have to be adjusted.
And I think Ogulugo boy kind of captures it because government is giving you money to buy a house. The government is not a fool now.
Yeah.
Government who has to take something back.
Yeah.
So I mean,
and from Canadian history, looking retrospectively, hey, most of the time, by the time you own a property for more than 5 years, you're going to make more than the 5% that you have to.
Yep.
And if the government has put money in your hands for that time frame, then well, it's only fair. It's cost of doing business. It's only fair.
Yeah.
But the question is how, if we're to look into those kind of programs, how much of access would we have? How easy is it to delve into that kind of this is for you, Paul. How easy is it to delve into that type of program, assuming we can find the right fit in terms of property at less than 500,000? Can you elaborate a little bit on it? Yeah.
And sorry,
Yeah.
while you're answering that question, because you have a specific map. So there are areas that this program applies to. If you can sort of reiterate those areas again, so that people are sure, because I'm sure it won't. What you're saying is it probably won't apply to someone looking for a house in Oshawa or Brampton, for example, if it's just Toronto. So if you can answer the question with letting us know sort of the areas, the maps where this applies to, and even if there's anything else that would sort of answer to the question for people who are looking outside of the Toronto area and the specific downtown core areas that you just mentioned in your explanation.
Okay. Yeah. So thank you, Kola Anthony, for that question. So there are 3 cities on the list: Toronto, Victoria, and Vancouver. Victoria and Vancouver in British Columbia.
Yes.
And one of the statistics I saw last week showing out of the 10 world list affordable housing, two cities two
Yeah,
cities in Canada make that list. I don't know if
Yes.
my English is correct.
yeah.
Yes, Toronto and
And
Vancouver.
Vancouver.
Yep.
Yep.
So the government understands that, and that's why it's only those cities that this first-time home buyer incentive plan is available in. So if you're not buying within Toronto, but the good thing is Toronto
pretty
is Toronto is wide, so you might be on the border of Toronto. You might thinking you are living in Oshawa. Well, maybe you are in Toronto. As long as you have that, I think it's M that starts with. If your postal code start with M, I don't know if you are in Toronto.
Actually, there's boundaries. Sorry to cut you. The
Yeah.
Greater Toronto. Is this thing referring to the Greater Toronto area or
Just
specifically
said M, so that's Toronto, Scarborough.
Toronto.
Yeah.
Toronto? Scarborough?
It stops in Scarborough. That's where
That's
Toronto
it.
stops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If by the time you get to Pickering, you're in the L. So it's
Yeah.
M.
Once you are in
Correct.
L,
M.
is
M only.
Core city itself,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is why I was hard pressed to say, how does that work for someone how do you find a $500,000 property?
They they're pre-construction projects, that condo apartments mainly that fall within that category, that are in the market today.
yeah. So it's not really like 500K. But what they're saying is, I'm checking now. What they're saying is the So let me read it out. First-time home buyers purchasing a home in the Toronto, Vancouver, or Victoria metropolitan areas now are eligible for an increased qualifying annual income of $150,000. It used to be 120K.
Okay.
And an increased total borrowing amount of 4.5 instead
Million.
of
No, 4.5
4.5
of the value of their income.
of their value of their income.
Okay.
Right.
So with an increased total borrowing amount of 4.5 instead of 4.0 times their qualifying income. So now you can do 4.5 of
675,000.
sorry.
That means the maximum they can get is, or they can borrow up to 675,000. Is that what that means? So what I've done is this. I'll just tell you quick math that I did.
4.5.
150,000 maximum income, right? The income is capped at people that earn as much as 150K.
Yes.
And then they can borrow as much as 4.5 times the value of their income.
Their qualifying income.
Yeah, their qualifying income.
Yes.
So if the cap for the income is 150K and they can borrow as much as 4.5 times of that amount, it works out to 675,000.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's even a better ceiling.
That's a better
Yeah,
deal.
That is a way better
Yeah.
scenario. So
Yeah.
that's huge. That's huge information
Yeah.
in our hands
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
But that's the essence of this session. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge.
And this is something people really should take advantage of, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think they started out in 2020 when the market was moving wayward. So
Yeah.
but people don't take all those things into consideration. And some of us, let's be honest, is $1 million house we want to start with.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. It's a good point you raise. And but we try to preach something to our people, to our audience and to our clients and some people we come across, is that you can even still rent where you like, right?
Mm,
Because there's certain people, their family, their work, their life, their lifestyle in general is rooted in a particular neighborhood. So yes, you can rent where you like, but you can buy, right, in places that you can afford, even while you're renting. So long as we run the numbers for that investment property you want to purchase, that it can, more or less sustain itself. And even if it doesn't sustain itself and you have to maybe subsidize it a little bit, you're still better off because there's passive growth that can take place with that investment that ordinarily you keeping your money in the bank or in any other instrument may not be able to achieve because the real estate market, especially in Ontario, is extremely strong. And
mm,
chances are, if you put your money in a piece of real estate somewhere, it will grow. And by the time you're ready and you have saved a bit more money, you can liquidate that investment property and then buy in a place where you
You really
perhaps
want to
like.
live. Yeah.
Exactly. So there are different ways to look at this. So yeah.
yeah, and I agree with you, Coyote. Well, for me, I just feel like it's better to start small and grow big.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get your leg in. Get your foot in.
Yes, just start small and grow big. I've seen situations where people started in what didn't make sense as a property, and within 2 3 years, they were able to leverage what they had and move into almost a dream home. Some are even in their dream homes,
Absolutely.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Yes. That
but
is
you
the
can't
that's
you can't have two if you don't start with one.
exactly,
You can't have 10 if you don't start with one.
exactly,
correct.
exactly.
That's
Okay,
interesting. That's very strong information you've given us today.
thank
Uh,
you. You're welcome. So I
Ogologo-
wanted to also talk about
Sorry.
thank you very much, Ogologo boy.
You should get a star today
Yeah.
for our supporters.
Yeah.
But
It's
yeah,
been
a lot of people are not informed. That
it's
is true.
very interactive and we appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you.
yeah, thank you,
Yeah,
Bulugu
go
boy.
ahead, Paul. You're going to say something.
Yes, I was going to talk about FHSA, the new one, the
Okay.
new first home savings, first time home buyer savings account,
Okay.
because it has some unique features, and I feel like people can take advantage.
Okay.
Of all the registered accounts in Canada, to the best of my knowledge, it's very rare to have something that will give you tax deductible while investing, and when you make your profit you will still not pay taxes. So let me explain it. So I see the FHSA as a combination of RRSP and TFSA.
Mm.
Okay.
In the case of TFSA, when you invest into your TFSA, you don't get reduced taxes. But when you are taking your profit out, you don't pay taxes. RRSP, when you invest in RRSP, your taxes reduce instantly. But when you are taking your money out, whether at retirement or whenever, you will pay taxes. But FHSA, you get tax deduction immediately. Your profit is also tax sheltered. But before then, let me talk about RRSP because some of our audience will really appreciate RRSP and they probably don't know so much about it. So, RRSP, known as the Registered Retirement Savings Plan, is designed to encourage people to invest towards retirement. Like I mentioned earlier, what people get in CPP is low, and the government know that they understand that that may not be sufficient. So what they're saying is invest in your RRSP. Whatever you invest in RRSP will reduce your tax bracket. So let's use Yemi for example. Yemi earns $100,000. In Canada, your earnings or your taxes work with what you earn. So the higher you earn, the higher you pay. So Yemi earns $100,000. Yemi decides to put $15,000 into RRSP. 100K minus 15 puts Yemi to an 85K income earner. So Yemi will be taxed like Yemi is earning $85,000, which means lower taxes for Yemi. But when Yemi retires and Yemi needs his money, Yemi will pay taxes on whatever the RRSP has become. But immediately Yemi starts investing into his RRSP, he's going to enjoy tax reduction on his earnings. Interestingly, there are two things you can do with your RRSP before retirement and don't pay taxes on your investment. You can use it to buy your first home or you can use it to go to school. For the first home, they call it the home buyer's plan. Home buyer's plan means Yemi has probably saved or invested $30,000 in his RRSP. Now, Yemi needs to buy a home. Yemi needs down payment of $40,000. But because Yemi has 30K in his RRSP, he can borrow that 30K and look for 10K and use that to take care of his down payment. By doing that, he's not going to pay taxes on the 30K, but he must return it within 15 years. So going back to the point that Kayode was talking about, like how difficult it could be for people to put their foot at the door or to come into the game when it comes to their first property. A lot of people have some RRSP investment that they're not even aware of. Because sometimes when you start a new job, part of the benefits you earn from your company is RRSP. And they do what they call matching. So you do maybe 2,000, they match it with $2,000. Imagine if you've been doing that for 4 years, you might be sitting on $10,000 investment, but people don't look at it. So you can use that using the home buyer's plan, withdraw that money, save more, and use it for your down payment. But you must return it within 15 years. So that's the home buyer's plan under RRSP. Now let me go to the FHSA. The FHSA is saying you will also get tax reduction when you invest in your first time home savings account. In this case, the maximum you can do in a year is $8,000. And the maximum you can do in a lifetime is $40,000. I think the accounts can be opened for 15 years. If nothing happens in 15 years, the government will ask you, what's going on? What do you want to use this money for? But let's use Ogbologbo as an example, since he's one of our most interactive audience. So
Oh, yeah.
Ogbologbo earns $100,000, for example. He has RRSP benefit from his company, and he's putting maybe $5,000 per year. $100,000, 5,000 into RRSP. His company or his employer is also matching it with $5,000. That makes it 10K. That reduces his taxes by $10,000. So you'll be seeing like he's earning $90,000. It reduces his taxes. He also has 8K FHSA that he can use. He puts in 8K into it. That reduces his taxes, his income to $82,000. So he's not going to pay taxes as an $82,000. That can be significant. After a while, I don't know, RRSP could have done well, FHSA too could have done well. He makes profit from FHSA and is not paying taxes. He borrows from his RRSP. If he does that for like 2-3 years, his down payment might be complete by the time he needs his money, depending on what his employer is offering on RRSP.
Right.
Now, it's important I mention for the FHSA, if you don't open your account, you don't have contribution. So it's different from TFSA, that every time you file your taxes, you will see it that you've made 5-6K last year, you didn't use it, it has accumulated. Your FHSA doesn't accumulate until you open the account.
Right.
Interesting.
So for students or international students or any young person that is listening to me right now, you're not even thinking of owning a home, but know that someday you will need to own a home. So you can walk into the bank, just open with maybe $100 and walk away. What that means is the account is active. You can
Right.
come back next year. Your contribution for this year will be added to next year on. But if you wait till when you are ready to buy, that's when your account will become active.
Ah,
Right.
So
So
this
so
is also
sorry,
a good
Paul.
savings tool as
absolutely.
well.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
I was just saying this is also a good savings tool when we're talking about how to save towards your purchase down the line. This is a good
Yes.
tool to use to save towards purchasing as well.
Yes, I think is as far as I'm concerned, I think it's one of the best tools
Yeah.
because whatever
Yeah,
gives you tax advantage in Canada should be maximized.
absolutely.
Should be
Yeah.
maximized because what that means is you are saving 8k and you are reducing your taxes. If you are lucky, your 8k does 3 or 5%. Your gains is also tax sheltered. What else are you looking for from the government of Canada? Because they don't joke with their taxes.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
please. The
Absolutely.
other thing I was going to mention is how easy is it to walk into the bank if you're not buying a house? Can you withdraw from that
Essay.
FHSA? Are you able to just say, okay, I need money, I want to take it out? Are you able to do that?
No.
Okay, good. Okay. So it is a sheltered, well, yeah, okay.
Yes, it is only designed for first-time home buyers.
Okay.
In fact, if you've owned a property before, you are not eligible. You can't open that account.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. So if you
Okay.
want to
Hey,
do that, one of the things we can do is you can transfer that money to your RRSP.
Okay.
You can move it to RRSP. It will not trigger any taxes. But if you want to withdraw without using it to buy a home, it may trigger the taxes and you may have to pay back.
The other
okay.
thing is for the RRSP, just quick clarification. I see we have a question here on RRSP as well from Samson. So, but for RRSP, um, I know there's a specific amount when if you let's assume you have RSP of $100,000 saved, there's a maximum amount you can withdraw that is tax free when you're buying a home.
Yes, that's correct. Thank you for bringing that up.
What is that maximum amount? Can you please elaborate on that? That is tax free. Doesn't mean you can't withdraw more, but obviously you'll be subject to taxes, but you can withdraw a specific amount tax free.
Yeah.
That's one. Let's quickly highlight Samson Obuche's question. Maybe you might be able to answer it concurrently. Said, is the RRSP the same as a voluntary pension contribution?
Okay, so to answer your question, 35k is the maximum you can use for what they call home buyers plan. $35,000. So you can withdraw up to 35k. You can borrow. Let me not use the word withdraw. You can borrow 35k from your RRSP contribution and use it to buy your house and return it within 15 years, or you pay the taxes that you are owing. So to Samson's question, if RRSP is the same as voluntary pension contribution, yeah, I can say yes because it's voluntary. If you want to contribute, fine. If you don't want to contribute, it's okay. So it depends on you. But for me, I usually recommend RRSP when your employer is matching it. And the reason why I say that is your employer is saying, Samson, your salary is $100,000. But if you contribute 5k into your RRSP, we give you extra 5k. So the way I see it is my employer can afford 105, but they're only giving me condition of contributing 5k from my salary and get extra 5k. So if there's a match coming from your employer, maximize it, especially if you've not even bought your home yet. Use it. You don't know when it will come in handy.
Hmm. Thank you very much. The other thing is this idea of returning it in 15 years, like this RSP thing actually creates a lot of uh, there's a lot of questions. If we decide to take a whole day on RSP, we may not be able to get through it. So, but when you say returning in 15 years, I've heard horror stories of people that in their active years of work were always purchasing extra RRSP to be able to reduce what they would owe government for taxes. And when they retire, When it's time for them to start getting money from the government, they are owing. Every tax year they file their taxes, government is saying, oh, you owe this, you owe this, you owe this, because they over contributed in RRSP. Now, what is the best way to manage this idea of your contribution? Like you pointed out something really, really good in terms of if you have an employer that is matching it. What if you are business for self? What if you own your own business and you don't have an employer matching it? Do you still go into that route or not? At the same time, can you elaborate on this returning it in 15 years?
Right, that's a very good question. And of course, nobody knows what the future holds. And that's why I don't usually recommend RRSP until I've maximized all the tax sheltered vehicles.
Hmm.
Or if my employer is saying I'm matching it. As a business owner, I won't look into RRSP for a long time. The reason is this: when you retire, that your RRSP will be taxed according to your current marginal tax bracket. Now, RRSP only makes sense for average career-oriented person because
Hmm.
technically, when you retire, your income should drop. For a business owner, for my brother Kayode here, in the next 20 years, Baba will be sitting on some millions of dollars in income.
Amen.
Now, if Kayode is like, I'm earning 100K, I want to save my taxes and put 20K into RRSP. Do 20K for the next 20 years. That's the capital alone is like 400K. We are not even talking about the return. Now, Kayode retires at maybe in the next 30 years. But because he's a business owner, he has done different things, he has invested in different things. Averagely, his income is looking like maybe 500K. The RRSP will be taxed as a 500K earner.
Right.
But if Kayode was an employee and is doing well right now, he's earning maybe 100K, he does that for maybe 120, 150, then he retires. The moment he retires, his income falls sharply to maybe 30K. Maybe he doesn't even have money again.
Mm-hmm.
The RRSP will be taxed as lowest income earner.
Interesting.
Maybe paying as low as maybe 5% because they will look at him like, this guy need help. But for people like us, people in my community, we are ambitious people. Look, most of us will do way better at retirement than what we are doing now.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you find yourself in that position or in that situation where you are a business oriented person, I will just say invest more in your business.
Mm. Not
Invest more
RRSP.
in your business. Already as a business owner, you have a lot of tax advantages. What is your problem with RRSP?
Really? Yeah.
Leave it for career people.
Makes
Invest more
sense.
in your business, but make sure you also pay yourself. Look for an accountant, work out your plan, pay yourself some money so you can be doing CPP
Right.
and have
Okay.
CPP contribution so that
Mm.
you can earn. Because if you don't pay yourself, you won't be able to have
Take out
CPP
those
contribution,
deductions.
those
Yeah.
deductions. But between we just be smart with what you pay yourself. Don't pay yourself too much. Put all your expenses. I'm not going to loud it. Put
Yeah.
most of your expenses on your business and pay yourself small money and move on with your life.
Yeah.
So RRSP is good for career people who are not interested in business because they will likely be earning way lower when they retire.
Mm.
Unlike business owners that you can't even predict what their business will look like in the future.
Mm. Thank you very much.
That's good. That's really good.
Returning it in 15 years, you said.
Okay, returning to in 15 years, I've not seen anyone. Of course, even me, I've not spent up to 10 years in this country. But I feel like the laws might just change. They might be able to. I don't know the plan how they want you to pay it back. Maybe you can be paying it in bits. But I also feel like if you purchase a property in this our market, in this
15
market,
years.
15 years, Abba, you too, you
Yeah.
should have saved.
So the idea is
In 2
invest
years.
wisely.
Invest
Wisely.
wisely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, in
And
terms of
ideally, You should be able
Yeah,
to pay it back without too much of a hassle.
conveniently, yeah. But in
Yeah.
terms of balancing now, like you have people with you're giving people ideas of how to save towards their down payments. Very informative. Thank you very much. But how do you now balance that with those that are carrying debt as well? People that are owing money. Like
Yeah.
you have a line of credit that you have gone to go and you've gone on vacation with your family, you have credit card debts. Like you said, you're swiping every day at Starbucks, you're going to Costco. So how do you balance with how to allocate? You gave us a 50-30-20 rule, but where do you input servicing debt and still saving?
Right. So that's a very important. And thank you, Mr. Kola, for bringing that up. I should have talked about it. Personally, I get irritated with debt because I feel like this this environment, they just don't want you to be free. And if you are not intentional, you will find yourself in a pit of debt and you will ask yourself, how did I get here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's important for people that have multiple credit card debts. There's a method called snowball method.
Hmm.
It's like a magic in paying your debt. First of all, the thing you need to identify is list all your debts and check which one has the highest interest rates. I can tell you that chances are your credit card will have the highest interest rates. Credit card is between 19 to 25%. If you are the type that you take credit card from the retail stores, you can be paying as high as 30% on interest. Now, some of us are not disciplined. We don't even know that the credit card money is not our money. We just swipe until the limit is until
Max
we
out.
reach the limit and we've maxed it out. And they also the system is funny. They encourage you to pay the minimum due so that they can make profit on what you are not paying. You have a $2,000 credit card. You spent 1,002 on your statement. They're telling you that $10 is the minimum due. Why? Because they want to take 20% on 1,190 that is left.
Hmm.
So take a list of your debts, identify them with the interest rates. Focus on the one with highest interest rates because that will save you a lot of money in the long run.
Long run.
Now, to do that, first of all, don't talk about minimum due. Your aim should be I want to pay it off. Then look at how you can adjust your lifestyle. Maybe it's that Starbucks that I do every morning. I want to reduce it to every other morning. And that money, I will put it on the first credit card. So if I was the type that pay maybe $100 every month on my credit card, I want to probably increase it to $300 or $400. But where do I get that $300? From lifestyle adjustments.
Hmm.
When I'm done with that, I will now move to another debt, the one with the lower interest rate, maybe the one on 15%. I don't do minimum due, I pay it aggressively. When I'm done, I don't relax, I go to the next one. So target all your debts, focusing on the one with highest interest rate. When you succeed with that, move to the next one and adjust your lifestyle. For those that have multiple cars, some of you work remotely. You have two cars, mommy's car, daddy's car. Everybody will have car in the future. But if you're trying to buy a home in Canada, your expense on your car is not just the expense on the car, the insurance. I'm an insurance advisor. I know how much insurance the insurance industry makes from people. So if you have multiple cars, maybe you have two cars, you might want to sell one. Maybe the one you are financing, you may just decide that for the next 6 months, let's manage ourselves. Let's use one car. Sell one. It will also help you when you are dealing with Mr. Kola as a mortgage
Absolutely,
because
100%.
you have lower debts. So,
Yes. Your
so
ratios
sell,
will be different.
yes, so you can sell one and focus on the small one. When you buy your mansion, if you like, order Tesla. Let Elon Musk come and deliver it at your
Absolutely.
driveway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I
Excellent.
think debt management is key. People can go online to check about the snowball method. It's one of the most effective way of paying your debt in a very fast way. Can be magical. Some people don't like it. Some people are like, well, I will focus on the highest BC first, the one with the biggest debt. But if you study the environment, you realize that sometimes it's those small debts that have highest interest rates. And it's that interest rate that prevents you from making more money to, because you can't save what you don't have. If every month all the money is going into debt management, how will you have money to save?
Interesting.
So, this has been a very, very interesting and informative session. You have talked on ways that we can save and sort of plans that we can put in place. But my question now would be strategies to stay motivated. It can be very tasking for some people, and you tend to fall off the bandwagon after some time when you feel like, oh, I'm doing this and I'm doing this, but I don't see any changes. What's going on? So how would you advise people to stay motivated towards their savings plans? And how often should one reassess themselves as well to make sure that they are on the right path towards, say, their down payment goals or whatever it is they want to secure in the future?
Yes, so that's a very beautiful question, and thank you for asking. One of the ways to stay motivated, I will tell you, is to always picture yourself in the next 30 years.
Hmm.
Picture yourself in the next 30 years. When I came to this country, I came with a full afro. I'm sure you can tell that there's nothing left on the head. So every day we wake up, we grow, but sometimes we don't know because we have the energy. But we age by the day.
Mm-hmm.
You are here today because of some of the decisions you made yesterday or previous years. So I'm the type that I look at myself like in the next, and I have parents and I see them too, and I know that, well, what can I do to make my life better in the future? That's a good way to stay motivated. But it's not easy. I understand that is not, sometimes we get distracted. Another thing you can do is whenever you save money, you can spoil yourself too. Like if you have a goal of saving $1,000, $1,000 might look like small money, but I can tell you that people in Canada don't have $1,000 in their savings account. If you are the type that you don't save well, when you hit a goal of $1,000, take yourself out. You can give yourself a massage, whatever you think you like. You can watch a movie, treat yourself, then give yourself another goal and keep it up. Do that consistently. Another way to motivate yourself is to imagine $200 every paycheck and multiply it by 24. That's 2,400. People don't have 2,400 saved in their account. So if you are able to do that, just picture yourself and don't make it look like it's a big deal. Automate your system, like set up your account in a way that every time you get paid, $200 go into your high interest savings account. Let that happen every month, every time you get paid. I feel like if we manage our debt on automated processes, why can't we manage our savings like that? You all have cars, and the insurance company, they don't wait for your check. They go into your accounts to take their money every month.
Mm-hmm.
Your phone bill, they go into your account to take your money. Your mortgage, your rent, they go into your account to take their money. Do that too for your savings, even if it's $50 per month.
Excellent.
Thank you very
How
much.
sorry to just barge in there quickly, but how often should one reassess their
Yes,
goal?
I forgot to mention that. I think you should reassess yourself every quarter. Maybe because me, I used to be in sales and I do Q1, Q2, Q3.
Mhm.
Assess yourself every quarter,
Okay.
then do um annual evaluation too. And every time you make increments in maybe your salary or your income, go back to that your 50, 30, 20%. Don't just say I'm saving $200. Now we're saving $200 as a 100K earner. Now you're earning 200K, you're still saving $200. You're deceiving yourself. Use the percentage. If your income drops too, let it reflect. If your income goes up, let it always use percentage and check yourself like every quarter and every year. That's what I recommend. That's what I do.
Okay.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank
Nice.
you. Thank you so much, Paul. It's been a really great session with you. and you've shed a lot of light on different things that people can adopt in terms of strategies for saving, for managing debt, and for accessing money that's available through government incentives towards the down payment. We appreciate your generosity in sharing your wisdom with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys
It'd
for
be
having me.
nice for you to also share information about how you can be reached in the event that some people wish to contact you directly, because you definitely have a lot to offer. So please feel free to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kayode. Thank you, Kola and Tinu, for having me. I had fun too, and I enjoyed
Yeah,
the
thank you very
session.
much.
We did. It was a very, very informative, very light and entertaining session as well.
Okay.
Say
Thank
hi
you.
to that little. Is it guy or girl?
Is
That
guy.
also.
He's a guy. So people can reach me. I'm very strong on social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. My handle is Adeyeye Paul. And I have a website, pauladeyeye.com. You can
Yeah.
reach me through any of that. And I will be
And
glad
you're
to.
you're you're a writer as well. You published a book, right?
Yes, so I have my book on Amazon, The A Plus Entrepreneur, and
Right.
it's a good
That's
book. You guys will
that's
like. I will
fantastic.
send Kayode a copy. I think I should send Kola Tinu to a copy.
Yes,
Please.
please.
Please do that so that they won't be jealous.
Yes, you will be jealous, right?
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I mean, to our audience, we would like to thank you all for joining us today. This is a series of of talking to people on how to transition from renting into home ownership, and this is the first part of the series. We'll be going into our next topic, which will be around mortgages, and Kola will be the anchor for that episode. So I noticed that we had a couple of questions around mortgages. I've shortlisted those questions, and we will address them on our next episode. But in the meantime, if anyone wishes to reach out to us, they have any specific questions, you can always contact us on our email address. And you can subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Where we're available to you to ask us questions whenever you wish. Our email address is making the right move, as in, well, it's spelled making the right and then m@gmail.com. So making the right, all one word, m@gmail.com. So we'd like to thank you all for joining us, and we'd like to thank Paul immensely for sharing all of this knowledge with us. And we hope to see you guys again on our next episode. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Especially Ogolo
Thank you, everyone.
Very
Obolo
much.
Gogo,
Ogolo Gogo.
special regards.
Encouraging words. Everyone that sent in encouraging words.
Yeah,
we,
thanks
we
Thank
everyone.
really
you. Thank
appreciate
you. Thank you for all the members of the
Thanks,
audience
Tamar.
for all your comments.
it.
Thank you.
Yes. We had Kamar,
Thank
we
you.
had Sade, we had Wumi. Thank you, everybody. We really appreciate
Folks.
it.
Yeah. Thank you all.
And talks, yeah. Thanks a lot. Have
Bye.
a good the rest of the weekend.
Take
Bye.
care.
Bye bye.
Hello?